Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It. Today we're doing Nedarim, Daf Ayin Ches, number 78. We're going to talk about today about how many people you need to be Matir Neder. 3 people, one person, one person. The Matir Neder. And Eno Ben Seal will discuss the ramifications of why we're going to see my Nedarim, you only need 3 laymen, even people that are not familiar with halacha. They could be Matir Neder. And you only need one, perhaps Dayan, perhaps not necessarily a Dayan, someone who's considered a leader of the community, could be Matir and Eder, and maybe possibly even through Charata. We'll talk about that. Another way of being Matir and Eder. Let's start. Charata is regret, if you don't know what that means. We're starting from the top of Ayin Chenem and Aleph, about 5 lines down. 4 lines down. 5 lines down. Nemar Khan, the Gemara says, Nemar Khan Zad Davar, Nemar Lahalan Zad Davar Vashkute Chutz. The Brisa continues from yesterday. It says Zad Davar, which is this is the word, usually means only this, to exclude something else. And it says Zad Davar Vashkute Chutz. Shkute Chutz is a portion that the Torah talks about. If I have hekdesh, a korban, and I shecht it outside the base of Mikdash, right, you have courage for doing that. Ma Bashkute Chutz, Aaron Abana B'chol Yisrael. There it says, it doesn't matter who slaughters it, whether it's a Kohen slaughters it. Normally, a Kohen is someone who slaughters it in the Beis HaMikdash, or normally slaughters it. Technically, Yisrael could slaughter it, but a Kohen does all the avodas with the karbanos. But Shutei Chutz applies whether it's a Kohen or Yisrael. Af Parshas Nedarim, Aaron Rabbanan B'chol Yisrael. Same thing by Nedarim. Anyone could do it, whether you're a Kohen or all of Klal Yisrael. We'll see in a second what this means. Umakan Roshe Matos, right here it says by Nedarim, it says Roshe Hamatos, the heads of the tribes. Afla Halan Roshe Hamatos. Similarly, over there by Nedarim, by Shchudei Chutz, Roshe Hamatos. We'll see in a second what the halacha the Bryce is teaching us. Parshas Nedarim my hilchasa. What is it coming to teach you about Parshas Nedarim? Rav Bar Yaakov. Right? It says to tell you that anyone is kosher, whether you're qualified, whether you're someone who's learned Hilchos Nedarim, or you're someone like, I don't know, Caleb off the street or something, or anyone off the street, not Caleb, I don't know, someone, Joshua off the street. He's not familiar, he's about tshuva, he'd be good, as long as he's halakhically Jewish, it's okay. But doesn't it say Rosh Hamatos? In the Parshas Nedarim, it begins, it says Rosh Hamatos, which means the leaders of tribes, they have to be important people. Tell you that normally you need 3 judges. However, if you have someone who's important, someone at the head, a leader of a tribe, then he can do it by himself. Now, Yachad Mumcha normally means an expert in Hilchos Nedarim, so I'll try to reconcile why the Torah refers to, it wants to tell Yachad Mumcha. It doesn't say Mumcha, it says Rosh Hamatos. Just because you're the leader of a tribe doesn't mean you're someone who's proficient, or a Dayan who's proficient in Hilchos Nedarim. We'll talk about that more in Yom Tzion. Rosh Hamatos Shudei Chutz L'may Hilchasa. Right? It says Rosh Hamatos when it comes to Nedarim, so Zeh Davar applies it to Shudei Chutz also. What halacha is that teaching me? Right? Just like by Nedarim, you can be matir and Neder. Also, when you're makdish something, hektish, you can be matir the hektish. You could release it from hektish. You're makdish an animal. If you're coming from a basin and you say, I didn't realize what I was doing. I don't have so many animals left for myself that I was giving all my animals to hektish. You can matir the hektish. The Gemara continues. Rosh Hamatos zechsiv b'shchudei chutz ma'ilsa. Sorry. The Beis Shammai the Amar ein sheila b'hektish. The Machlokas, Beis Hillel, you could be shol on hektish. Beis Shammai says you can't. So according to them, Rosh Hamatos zechsiv b'shchudei chutz l'mayilsa. So what is that coming to teach me? Beis Shammai leis lo gzera shava. They don't hold the gzera shava. So they have no application of Rosh Hamatos when it comes. It doesn't say Rosh Hamatos shchudei chutz. It only says Rosh Hamatos by Nedarim. So according to Zeh Davar, Parshas Nedarim ma'iksev. So why does it say Zeh Davar? They don't have a gzera shava. It says Zeh Davar in both places, by shchudei chutz and it's by Nedarim. So let's try to figure out according to Beis Shammai what they're coming to teach you. Lomar chacham mater and bal mater, bal mefer and chacham mefer. So Zadavar, like we learned earlier yesterday, Zadavar teaches me that Hataras and Dharma is only done by a Chacham, and Afaras Dharma is only done by a husband or a father. Zadavar b'shutei chutz l'maiksiv. Zadavar b'shutei chutz. Why is that written? Lomar al shchita chayav ein chayav amalika. Right, you're chayav for shechting an apple, but if you have a bird that's a hektish, you do malika to it. Even though in the base, maybe that's the normal way of bringing it as a korban, you do malika, which basically is crack open from the back of the neck by a bird offering, certain types of bird offering. So, if you do malika outside the base, you're not chayav kares. So Beis Shammai presumably agrees that the halacha is either yachid mumcha or 3 adyotos. Everyone seems to agree about this. Is okay by Nedarim. If you don't have the Gzera Shava, where does he learn it from? So, Nafkal Humad Rabasi Bar Nasan. He learns it from the teaching of Rasi Bar Nasan. It says this is in Vayikra, Parshas Emor. It talks about the Moadim, the different holidays of Bnei Israel. We read this Parsha on Sukkot, on Pesach. But there's a question about Tanya. The Brisa says about this pasuk in the Torah. Rabbi Yosef Omer Moadei Nemru V'lo Nemra Shabbos Bereishis Imon. In this parsha in the Torah, it talks about the Moadim, but it doesn't talk about Shabbos. Benazai Omer Moadei Nemru V'lo Nemra Parshas Nedarim Imon. It tells us about the Moadim, it doesn't talk about Nedarim. So when he heard about this Brisa, Rav Asi or Nasan Kashalei Hamasisa. All right, we'll see why he had a problem with the Brisa, because we'll see Shabbos and Nedarim were really written right next to it. Asala Nahardi, he went to Nahardi to try to figure out this Brisa. So the Commander Rav Sheshas, in front of Rav Sheshas, Vilashkecha, he couldn't find Rav Sheshas. Asa Abashal Mechuzah, he heard that he went to Mechuzah, so he went after him to Mechuzah. So when he met him, Moadei Hashem Nemru V'lo Nemru Shabbos Bereishis Imoyin, V'achsiv Shabbos Imoyin. At the end of the parsha of Moadim, it talks about Shabbos. V'su Moadei Hashem Nemru V'lo Nemru Parshas Nedarim Imoyin, V'hamis Sitra Ksiva. Now it says Parshas Nedarim not in Parshas Emor, but in Parshas Pinchas, it talks about, and the Parshas Pinchas talks about all the karbanos you bring during the different Moadim. And then Parshas Matos is right after that, where it talks about the Nedarim. So what does it mean it's not written? It's really both Shabbos and Nedarim are written in the context of the Moadim. So Rav Sheshes responds to him, this is what the Brisa meant to say. Moadei Hashem Srichin Kiddush Beistin. The first part of the Brisa is to tell you that for Yom Tovim, right, that's reliant on Kiddush Beistin, whatever day they're Makadesh as the Chodesh. So therefore, only if they do that, Makadesh the Chodesh, then you can observe the Yom Tov on the proper day. Shabbos Bereishis and Srichin Kiddush Beistin, right? You're not Makadesh, right? Shabbos goes on whether Beistin is Makadesh the Chodesh or not Makadesh the Chodesh. Every 7 days is Shabbos. Moadei Hashem Srichin Mumcha, right? Why the second half of the Brisa? Moadei Hashem Srichin Mumcha, right? A Mumcha you need when you're Makadesh a Chodesh, it's like punishing someone. We'll talk about more in Enoch Ben Sion. It's like punishing someone. It's like a criminal case. You need smuchim. You need people that are really dayanim, really professional Talmidei Chachamim to Makadesh the Chodesh. Parshas Nedarim Srichin Mumcha. Parshas Nedarim, like we said earlier, even Hadyotos, even laymen, regular people, they can adjudicate a case in Nedarim and find a Pesach. I feel it based in Hadyotos. So the Gemara says, "How Parshas Nedarim Roshei Hamatos?" If it says Roshei Hamatos, it means literally important people. Amar Rav Chisda v'Temer Rabbi Yochanan b'Yachin Mumcha. That's to teach you that normally you need 3 Hadyotos. To teach you that even Roshei Hamatos, even though it's plural, Roshei Hamatos, what it means, right? All the heads of the tribe. So any one of them is good. Right? So any one of the Roshei Hamatos is good. So if he's Yachin Mumcha, if he's knowledgeable in Hilchos Nedarim, he can imagine Nedarim by himself. Amar Rav Chisda v'Temer Rabbi Yochanan fine. Yachin Mumcha. Amar Rav Chanina Hashosek Amanas Lemeikas. And the Gemara starts a new sugya over here. Normally, if you are quiet, the husband or the father, when they hear the neder of their daughter or their wife, right, and they're silent for 24 hours. So if you're silent for 24 hours, so that means you're Makayim the neder. You're right. What about you're shosing Amanas Lemeikas, meaning you plan on being made for the neder, but you're waiting 23 hours just to, bother your wife. You want to annoy your wife. You plan on being made for the neder. So he says, since he plans on being made for the neder, he has 10 days, maybe even more than 10 days to be made for the neder, because he planned on being made for the neder. So when we say 24 hours, that's really only talk about, we'll see, only talk about he's not thinking anything. But if he's thinking that he really plans on being made for it, he has even 10 days. This is a long discussion. I'll go to tomorrow's daf. We're not going to resolve this statement or Chanina until tomorrow. Meisi of Rava, Emasai Amru, Rava asked the first question on Rabbi Chanina. Emasai Amru, Meisa Baal Instruction of Rosh Lav. We said if the husband dies, the Aris dies. So it goes back to the father. B'zman shelo shama exclusively. B'zman shelo shama habal. If the Aris didn't hear about it, Shama v'shasak, or you heard about it and it was silent, Shama v'hefer, or you heard about it and it was mefer, or meis babayom, and then he died that day. Al Shama v'kim, if he heard about it, he's makayim the nether. Shama v'shasak, or meis b'yom shala acharav, right? He was silent for 24 hours, and then he died. And yachal ha'afer, already, right? They're supposed to be mefer together. We learn according to Beis Hillel that it's a joint, partnership, and therefore, right, Miklash Kalish, the Gemara says they have to do it 100% together. So therefore, once it was started by the husband, he was Makayim, there's no way, even if he dies, for the father to do by himself. And are we talking about what is the case of Shtika, right? That he was Shosek Amanas Lameka. That's normally, right, what is he thinking? I mean, probably if he's shosek, if he's a good husband, once he hears the neder, he may right away. The fact that he's shosek, he's silent. Usually you're silent because you want to annoy your wife, and probably you plan on being made for the neder. I mean, so the low, but shosek menas lakayim. He's shosek. The shtika is referring to where he's planning to actually be makayim the neder. Ihachi hainu o shama v'kiyim. That can't be the case because shama v'kiyim, right, was already mentioned. We're going to learn on 79 on Ayin Tet that even if you're Mekayim and Belibo, even if you're Mekayim in your heart, that's good enough. You don't have to actually say I affirm the neder. If you affirm in your heart, so that would be the same thing. If he's showing something else Mekayim, he's shosei because he plans to be Mekayim. It's like he already was Mekayim the neder. So that really is included in Shema V'Kiyim. El b'shosei stamps. The Gemara says no. We're talking about there's three types of shtika. You can have shtika to Mekayim the neder, shtika l'meika, or here this price happens to talk about he's shosek and he's undecided whether he wants to be Mekayim the neder or not be Mekayim the neder. He's not doing necessarily to annoy his wife, and therefore we can't resolve it from this brisa. So we're left with Rechanina's statements. Shosek menas l'meika. Do you have 10 days or more to be made for the neder? We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Stay tuned for Iyun Ben Sion. I want to talk about the construct of being matir and neder. 3 hadyotos, yachad mumcha. We learned from today's daf. Right? Is it like, it sounds like, is it really a concept of basin, like monetary cases? Why do you need a basin, right? Why shlosha yotos, right? If, right, it says yachad mumcha is good. So maybe 2 yotos. Why 3 yotos? We'll talk about that, and we'll differentiate between criminal cases and civil cases according to the Torah, the need for dayanim, what a dayan really is, what credentials for a dayan really has to be. It's a very fundamental shir in events. We'll talk a lot at the beginning of Masechah Sanhedrin, comparing it with today's daf, with Ben Sion coming up next.